Mercedes behind us. Oh god, we got contact with someone. I don't know who it was. It was a Red Bull. Whoa, what the hell? What's going on, guys? My name is Martinio and welcome back to Formula 1 2019 and I should say the proper start of our Formula 1 2019 Career Mode series. So, in the previous episode, which if you haven't seen it, there's a card in the top right hand corner now, we went to Abu Dhabi and we put a really nice move on Devon Butler and we won the F2 crown. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the episode, it left us with a little bit of a decision to make, and that's why we're here. We've gone to see our agent in London. And yeah, I mean, we signed with the Ferrari Young Driver Academy, and while you can drive for any team, I wanted to sort of stay with the Ferrari route, I guess. I didn't want to jump straight into the Ferrari. I think that, you know, it's probably a little bit of a cop-out. You know, you're not really getting much of a challenge. No real great affiliation to Haas, even though Gunter Steiner is an absolute legend. So that leaves us with Alfa Romeo. And Alfa, of course, have a rich history within the sport. It was an Alfa Romeo that, I believe, won the very first Formula 1 Grand Prix in 1950 at Silverstone. And, of course, even before that point, the very first cars to have the Ferrari badge on it were actually Alfa Romeos. Enzo Ferrari ran the Alfa Romeo racing team under the name Scuderia Ferrari back in the sort of the 20s and the 30s, I believe. So it's got a rich history. And, I mean, the contract here... I've not made any changes to this. The team goal, which we'll see in a second, is to score 5 points over the first 2 rounds, so that's going to be a tricky one. But the qualifying position and the expected race position are both 18th, and of course with a second driver, and we'll be partnered by the evergreen, I suppose you could say, Kimi Raikkonen. And yeah, I mean, the car looks absolutely fantastic as well. I love the colours of it, you know, the white and the red, and it's a beautiful looking car. It really is one of my favourites in the F1 field. So yeah, so we're going to be signing for Alfa Romeo, and of course, after we signed, we headed out to the first race in Australia, which we're going to be seeing in a little while. And we went to, obviously, to meet the team. We met the team manager here, and yeah, so it's going to be an interesting run. I'm thinking of staying with Alfa for a couple of seasons. Depending on how things go, I don't want to do a mid-season swap or anything like that, but I suppose we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. So yeah, so let's jump into the episode proper. And we're going to go see how we got on in practice. So on to practice, and all in all, it was fairly straightforward. There was no real drama or anything like that. I found a setup that I liked. I ran through my practice programs without any real bother. Everything was, you know, hunky-dory, I guess. The only practice program I didn't get top marks in was the ERS management, but I'm not really too concerned about that because there was a Reddit post about a week ago, and it was from a Streamlander Norris did, and he was playing F1 2019, and he was looking at the assists and so on, and he basically said that the ERS thing, it's a pointless setting really to have it on manual because we never manage it in the real race. I've never done it, so I've set it to automatic because that's what the real drivers do, and I want to, you know, try and, as close as I possibly can. I'm still a mile away, try and mirror the real drivers and what they're having to do in a race. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, overall it was fairly good. We got a nice haul of resource points. A particular highlight was getting ourselves into P6 in practice 2. That was when we did our qualifying sim. So yeah, I mean, it was like I said, all fairly straightforward. There was no real drama. So we're going to jump into qualifying in a second. But before we do, I'm just going to show you this. This is the weather report, basically. So while the race is going to stay dry, the qualifying is actually going to have a bit of rain in it. So this could be a big opportunity. It could potentially mix up the ordering if we strike at the right time and we get the right laps in, and you know, some decent laps in at the right time. We could potentially find ourselves in Q3. So yeah, but it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be difficult, but I'm up for a challenge, so there we go. We're going to head over there now, and we're going to see how we got on in qualifying. So, on to qualifying, and came into this fairly confident. We'd shown a decent amount of pace in FP2 when we did our quali sim, so I was confident we could, you know, get out of Q1 in the very least, I think. I think Q1 might have been a bit beyond us, but as you can see, it's a little bit overcast. And at the moment, this was our only flying lap, and you can see we're being compromised a little bit by the Williams ahead, potentially George Russell there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the car felt good. It, felt fairly planted, and we put in a time of 1:27.00 And like I said, it was our only flying lap for that particular session. I tried to go out again at the end, but obviously the rain was coming at that point, and it was just fairly pointless. But it was good enough to get us out of Q1, somewhat at the expense of our teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who went out in Q1, along with Albon, Stroll, and both the Williams drivers there. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise there, but there's definitely more pace to find. However, like I said, the back end of Q1, the rain started to come, and it turned into this for Q2. So you can see we're on the green marked intermediate tyres there. I did add a turn of front wing just to help us do some of the corners, and finding the brake balance was a little bit tricky, but I managed to, put in a decent first run there. And obviously you don't get penalised for adjusting your front wing in Parc Ferme there. So yeah, a little bit wide through the penultimate corner, and that compromised a little bit onto the last one. But like I said, the car felt fairly planted and pretty good in the wet conditions, and coming across the line, as you can see, we're just 0.8 of a second slower than Lewis Hamilton at this particular point in qualifying, which was pretty good, and again, give me a bit of a confidence booster. But that's when I made the error, and it wasn't on track. I didn't bin the car or anything like that. It was in the garage. I was distracted by something else. I can't remember what it was, and by the time the distraction had gone away, I hadn't enough time to get out and do an out lap and get another quali lap in. So we actually went out in Q2, unfortunately, as you can see here, because everybody else around us went out and got to do another quali lap while I was stuck in the garage just kicking myself for being so stupid. So P15 is where we ended up. Really disappointing. Like I said, it was a really golden opportunity to potentially get ourselves into Q3 and put us in the box seat to maybe get some points and do some things on strategy. But it wasn't to be. We just have to deal with it at this point, and hopefully put together a race strategy that can get us, get us back up the order and potentially into the points. But I mean, looking at the front of the grid, you can see Lewis Hamilton took pole position by 0.5 of a second over Sebastian Vettel, and then we got Charles Leclerc and Valtteri Bottas rounding out row number 2. But further down the order, we get bumped up to P14 ahead of our teammate Kimi Raikkonen, and the reason is Devon Butler takes a penalty. What for? I'm not sure. Whether a component failed and he had to change it, I'm not sure. But yeah, so we move ourselves up to P14. So we've got a good chance. I think we've got a really good chance of potentially going to get some points here today. But it's going to be a tough race. It's going to be a long one. So yeah, let's head down to the grid now and see what we're going to do strategy-wise.
New drivers, new cars, it's a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that plays host to round 1 of a 21-race championship that takes us from here in Australia across the globe and the eventual season finale at the Yas Island circuit in Abu Dhabi.
Okay then guys, so welcome to the grid in Melbourne, Australia, and yeah, as we saw in the build up to this, we've been moved up a position to P14. We originally qualified P15, but I think it was our old rival Devon Butler picking up a penalty which moved him right to the back of the grid, which has pushed us up a position. And honestly, it may have hurt us a little bit, because starting P15 we would have been on the clean side of the track. Now we're on the dirty side. But if we can get a decent start, then we've got that inside line down into turn 1. We may be able to pick up a couple of positions and maybe get a decent run down into, on the outside of turn 2 and down to the deep braking zone of turn number 3 there. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky start. But in terms of the strategy, I mean, honestly, I don't mind the high tyre management one. I think I could do it, but I think, honestly, it would work a lot better if we flipped it around. So start on the yellow marked soft tyres, which is, the medium compound for this weekend, and then go into the red marked super soft, which are the soft compound. Purely because you see the session forecast, you got the sun for the first early part of the race there. So I think having a bit more durability in the tyre will probably help us do that with the higher track temperatures. So I'm going to flip that around, actually, and I'm going to give that a go, because as it gets cooler, I'll hopefully be able to push the softer compound tyre a little bit harder due to the lower track temperatures basically, and I'm not going to suffer as much tyre wear, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to flip those tyres around. I'm going to start on the yellow mark soft tyres. I mean, everybody gets a free tyre choice for the start of the race because Q2 was obviously wet, but yeah, I'm going to flip that around, and that's what we're going to do for this one. I'm going to go the first 19 laps on the yellow marked soft tyres, and then we're going to go to the super softs for the final run to the finish, I think there. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race though. So I'm going to get that all done and set up, and I'll be back when we're ready to go racing. Okay then guys, here we go. Oh, I don't know who that was, just came charging in like a fucking silverback gorilla. Sorry, George. So we're back up to P15. So we've got Russell behind us. Ooh, I can definitely feel that dirty air from the cars ahead. So 1 and 2 would trick it. I think I've got a Williams right up my chuff. Oh! Didn't even see him. I think we're just about, ever so slightly, maybe reeling Kimmy in a little bit. And another one of the reasons I went for this strategy is because with Q2 being affected by rain, it's going to mean that the track is very, very green. So by the time we get to sort of the back end of the race, when I'm putting my super soft tyres on, the track will have rubbered in a hell of a lot more. So while we suffer through the first stint, the second stint, we should be able to go fairly quickly and push those tyres in a rubbered in track that's a little bit cooler than it currently is. There is a method to my madness. And we're up to P10 now, owing to people being in the pits. But the problem's been fixed, so whether Grosjean's going to be able to come back in us, I'm not sure. But potentially, He'll be coming in for his pit stop any time around about now. Before I switch to strategy, it said we'll be coming in at the end of lap number 11, and that'll be this lap. We're doing well at the moment. P10 in the points.
The gap to the car ahead is 7.5 seconds.
Well, Magnussen jumps into the pits,
Behind on the medium tyre.
which means... Ooh, big lock. We are now in the podium places. We're not going to stay there, of course, but we're going to enjoy it while it lasts. We've got a Mercedes behind us. Oh god, we got contact with someone. I don't know who it was. It was a Red Bull. Whoa, what the hell? I bet it was Max Verstappen. Well, we're getting DRS. We've got a bit of a gap behind. Oh, there's a contact.
Green flag.
There's a chance to go 3 wide through turn 1, and... Oh god, no, that wasn't good. Getting into the back of Leclerc.
This lap, give us the best in lap you can. Gap to teammate behind is 6.2 seconds.
That is exactly the worst moment for Perez to make a move. Cost us time through T1 and the exit of turn 2 as well. Ugh, terrible entry. It braked a little bit later for that, I reckon. Alright, so we're going to have to be on the ball for this one.
Exit now.
There we go. 2.4, not a bad stop. So now it's a run to the finish.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. Receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
So now off we go. So we're P16 at the minute.
Kimi is in the pits. Kimi in the pits.
Ooh, Kimi's on a 2-stop. Okay. Might be close getting out ahead of him, but we do. So we're up to P14, which is pretty much where we started. Terrible exit out of the last corner. And there's a McLaren a little bit further up the road. Oh, we've got a brilliant run out of turn 2. Just didn't quite have the pace. And of course, we're on the outside as well. Oh, brilliant run through here. Oh, no, 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 that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, sorry. We went wheel to wheel. Now we've got the DRS.
Okay, you're in his dirty air. Get past him.
Not the cleanest overtake you'll ever see, but it got the job done. So the gap's coming down, but it's just not coming down quick enough.
This is your final lap of the race. Gap to teammate behind is 6.4 seconds.
So it's 1.5 seconds now. We took another 6/10 or so out of him. Run through there. Oh, there's a huge train ahead, and there's some points in that train somewhere. Oh, this race we've gone on for another couple of laps.
They're retiring from the race.
So Hulkenberg is out. That promotes us to 12th.
The track is clear. Green flag.
Well, we almost lost it. Oh, damn it. That pretty much cost us a run on Stroll down to the finish line, but oh, there we go.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you pulled through. Thank you.
So there we have it then, guys. 12th place, and it was, sort of felt like a, you know, a bit of a tale of what could have been, I guess. There were a few errors in there. You know, we sort of got caught in the wrong place, wrong time with Perez. You know, making that move on a run lap that compromises a little bit. Obviously, getting caught in that three-way battle for third place with Bottas, Verstappen, and Leclerc cost us a bit of time as well when you know, Verstappen came violently across on us. I don't know what he was doing, absolute prat. And then I think the big one though that cost us the opportunity of maybe challenging Stroll and potentially Norris for the final point was getting caught behind Grosjean. It just wouldn't give it up. I mean, it's great that the AI really do fight you, and you really do have to, you know, absolutely nail on the pass to get by them. But yeah, it definitely did compromise us a little bit and probably cost us a shot in the last lap or so of maybe getting some points, because we, you know, after we got past Grosjean, we had a big gap to make up to get back up to the back of Lance Stroll, basically. So yeah, but looking at the rest of the finishing order, and surprise, surprise, Lewis Hamilton wins ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel gets the extra point for that fastest lap of the race. We've got Bottas followed by Gasly. That's a surprise. He's normally struggling to get into the points, but he finishes in 5th today. We've got Perez, Ricciardo, Verstappen, who had that spin into T1 when he was battling for 3rd place with Bottas and Leclerc, followed by Magnussen and Lando Norris. And obviously we finished down in 12th ahead of our teammate Kimi Raikkonen in 14th. But if you just look at the gap, it's only about 3 seconds or so between myself and 9th place, you know, Kevin Magnussen there. So the car definitely has the pace, and I think on another day we potentially could have got ourselves into the points there. So, you know, cause for enthusiasm going into the next round, I would say. Looking at the constructors standings, even though it's only the first race of the season, Mercedes currently lead by 3 points ahead of Ferrari. Then we've got Red Bull Racing sitting down in third place, a further 20 points back, and the only 3 teams not to pick up a point on the opening weekend were Williams, Toro Rosso and ourselves in the Alfa Romeo there. So yeah, but hopefully we're going to be changing that in the next race in Bahrain. But yeah, so that's pretty much the end of today's video, guys. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Next time out, as I said, we're going to be heading to Sakir, Bahrain for round 2 of the season on our first night race of the season. So I'm really looking forward to this. Obviously the game looks absolutely fantastic, and it really gets highlighted in the sort of the night conditions as well. So I'm looking forward to that one. But if you did enjoy this video, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification button as well, so you get updates for all of my new videos whenever they go live. Also drop a comment down below, guys. How did you get on your first race? Did you manage to get into the points? Did you have any big accidents? Did you get caught up in other people's battles like I did? Drop a comment down below, guys. Always happy to hear from you. Once again, thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace!